last year in Sales Adda and this year by the CEO of Magazine. So that is a brief introduction of Mr. Sharma. Before we welcome him, I would like to mention a couple of things. Please stay on mute so we can avoid any background noise. You can chat with us, we will respond to you, or you can raise your hand so you can be unmuted if you have a question. This session is being recorded, so you will all receive a recorded copy as well. So let us start the session today. Mr. Sharma, over to you.
Thank you, Lakshmi, and thank you everyone for joining us today. It's great to have you. I welcome you all to this wonderful session on master selling on phone in 90 minutes. In this session, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be walking you through one of the toughest and sought after skill, how to generate inquiries over the phone. My name is Amit Sharma. I'm an authoritative selling expert. I work with corporates, businesses, sales professionals, entrepreneurs, and help them learn the art to crack not interested customers and win over 70% of their sales in first contact without any hard selling. With that idea in mind, let's get started and talk about master selling on phone. In this session, I would be taking you over the toughest part of lead generation, cold calling or selling over the phone. So, as I said, it is one of the sought after skill, and the majority of the sales professionals and businesses and corporates are trying their hands at it. And many of them are struggling. Many of them are seeing great success also, because this is the fastest way of lead generation, inquiry generation, or even sales generation. Right now, with that, let's get started. Couple of things, if you guys could quickly let me know through your chat option if you have the audio and the video is clear. You can see me, you can hear me. Meanwhile, I'm going to quickly take a look at the participants. We had a lot of participants registered today, and I see many of them have joined also, and others are on their way to join. Let's quickly take a look at yeah, just let me check if I'm audible. Yes, all clear. That's fantastic. All clear. Thank you very much. Now, before I begin, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you and just take a look on participants list and see who are some of the most important people joining us today. Well, first of all, I see myself. Uh, yeah, that's just a joke, so don't freak yourself out. We have, oh, Christopher. I know Christopher from LinkedIn, I guess. Yeah, I can recall. Dr. Mansi is here. Ah, fantastic. One of the COVID warriors we have with us. Huge respect for Dr. Mansi and all the medical fraternity who is working for the mankind to save them. Thank you so much for joining us today. Quick round of applause, everybody, for Dr. Mansi. Thank you very much. We have Girl Power Subiksha. We have Uzma. I know Uzma. Oh, lot of respect for the Girl Power. Thank you very much for joining us today. And then we have Uday, Rahul, Karthik, and Anna. Anna, is it? Anna is, I guess she's joining us from outside India. Well, welcome to the webinar. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here. Let's get started, and let's get started breaking this code of inquiry generation, lead generation, or sales creation over the phone. Now, before I begin, just to let you know that the session is getting recorded. So if anybody say anything against me or my webinar or my jokes, well, I'm going to hold you in court of law. That's for sure. Moving on, let me just go over. So, master selling on phone. Well, I get a lot of sales professionals, a lot of entrepreneurs and businesses coming to me, and the major challenges they are facing is inquiry generation over the phone. Now, as I mentioned, this is one of the sought after skill and as well as the toughest skill. Why sought after skill? Because either you are a sales professional, or you are an entrepreneur, or you are a startup starting a company, or you are a established business. You have to go through selling on phone to generate maximum inquiry, because this is the only way where you can get instant inquiries. instant, like right in just one call you can get sales, you can get appointments, you can get anything. That's possible. It's not possible with email, it's not possible with LinkedIn, or it's not possible with other medium where it takes time to warm up your network and warm up the inquiries. But here it happens right in instance. But when they come to me, they comes to me with a lot of challenges, like they are not able to generate inquiries. They have the contacts, they go to events, they set up booths, and they buy databases, or generate inquiries over Google, or all those yellow directories and all that stuff. They build contact databases, but when they start reaching out to them, there are no appointments. First of all, they are not able to cross gatekeepers, and when they manage to cross the gatekeepers, the reception, they are not able to talk to the decision makers, because decision makers are kind of getting away from them with all kind of excuses. Not interested, we already have a solution in place, no budget, no time, busy, send me an email. Send me an email is the classic one, like 80% of the time. So how many of you get could you just mention what is your biggest challenge in selling over the phone? If you could give me a hint of it through the chat window, to know what exactly is the challenge that you are looking to solve here. Just a quick word about it through the chat window before we proceed further and take what are the challenges that majority of the sales professionals and entrepreneurs are facing with selling over the phone. All right. Yeah, I would request everyone to type it in the chat, and try to put it as public, not just send it to me. Many of you, I see, started sending it to me. Yeah, Chris will definitely connect later. Client talks a lot of time to respond. Client takes a lot of time to respond. So here, the lead period is the challenge. Yeah, that's one of the challenge. Appointments, not remembering me the next time I call, as lack of personal touch. That's another challenge. When we go attend events, set up booths, and do networking and get all those visiting cards, when we come back and we start connecting with the people, they're not interested. Client saying let's connect later, already a solution in place. That's another one from Anna. Yeah, already a solution in place. That's another bigger one, where client would say we already have something in place and we are not interested. Call me later, not interested. They disconnected before even listening to what we want to say. That's another big challenge. That's right. How do we initiate communication with new customers effectively? I get it. Well, thank you very much for sharing all those inputs. That is what the challenge that we are looking to solve. And ladies and gentlemen, over the next 60 minutes or so, I would be breaking this code about how to strike a communication over the phone with customers so that they don't avoid you. Instead of avoiding you, they actually are interested in listening to you. They give you their time. They listen to you. They understand your value proposition, what you're trying to pitch. They take interest in it, and then they actually go for it. Now, if you have that skill, this is one of the biggest skill that you're going to be walking away with, because parts of it apply to all other things, whether it is selling over email, selling over LinkedIn, or you're doing in-person selling, you are attending networking events and speaking on stage. It applies everywhere. So it's one of the biggest skill you will be walking away today, and I'll make sure that you will never have to go back to selling over the phone with disappointment. You will be able to crack like 50% of the appointment in all the calls without any hard selling. That's what I'm trying to bring to you, break this code of sales approach framework. Now let's quickly, before I dive deep into that, let's take a look at summarize the challenges that I have received through the chat. How to find the contacts. It's one of the biggest challenge. No appointments. When we call, no appointments. Reception stops you. Decision makers avoids you with all kind of excuses. Now in this webinar, we would be solving each and every challenge. Now first, let's talk about some of the top mistakes that I see people making with lead generation or selling over the phone. That's very, very important, because this is the groundwork that we would be doing, making a foundation for the rest of the session. So please pay attention to it. Now, one of the biggest mistake that I see here is cold calling is dead. Now, that is the belief that is going around, and many of the people are getting trapped into it. As a result, what they try to do is they try their hands at email, they try their hands at LinkedIn, they try their hands at advertisements and any other things. But let me tell you, if you're thinking that cold calling is dead, it doesn't work. Tell it to the companies, those big giants, those big organizations that are spending millions of dollars and crores of rupees every month. Companies like Airtel, Vodafone, Google, Microsoft, and every other big giant that is involved in shelling money into lead generation. They have their teams, they are outsourcing it to call centers, and then from there the lead generation is happening over the phone. Like every day I myself get like 15 to 20 such calls from different companies, be it financial companies, be it insurance companies, be it B2B software IT companies. I daily get a lot of calls from them. These are cold calls, and I'm getting it. So don't tell it to me, tell it to them. When people come to me and tell cold calling is dead, I only have a question to them is, okay, if cold calling is dead, and you're trying your hands at other channels like email or LinkedIn or any other things, what is your conversion rate? Well, let me tell you, the fact of the matter is, someone who cannot generate results over the phone, I guarantee you and I bet everything on it, they won't be able to generate the results over the email, LinkedIn, advertisements, online, offline advertisements, or any other kind of challenge. You see, because it's not a problem of the tool. After all, phone is just a tool. The problem here is the problem of preparation. People don't prepare for it properly, and the problem of execution, because you're going to talk to a stranger. You only have a minute or two to hook him and create that interest and motivate him, inspire him so much that he can take action. Now if that preparation and execution doesn't come out well, that's where the problem starts. And then people go around telling cold calling is dead. Cold calling is actually not dead. It is the fear that is keeping you away from doing calls. Let me tell you how I see at cold calling. I see cold calling just as a tool. Like phone, it's just a tool. Email is just a tool. LinkedIn is just a tool. It has no role to play in convincing customer for a product or a service. They are just the medium. Where the problem lies is actually in the messaging, the information part of it, the information that you share, or others call it sales pitch. It's something like people tell me, if you're not getting a mileage, engine is the problem. It's not always the engine is the problem. Probably the quality of petrol that you're using can be the problem. Same is the case with cold calling. Phone or cold calling is just a medium. It's not a problem. The problem is your messaging is not good enough to catch attention of the customer, a stranger, and it's not having enough meat in it that it can inspire or motivate people to take action and come back to you, accept your authority, accept that you can solve his problem, and come to you and buy that product. That is where the problem lies. That is the soul of cold calling or any type of marketing or selling that you're doing, the messaging, the information that you share, or the sales pitch. Now, if you could create a sales page or messaging which is highly inspiring and motivating enough, then I bet you, whether the customer has a need or don't have a need, they will take equal interest in it, and they would be ready to buy for it. Because the problem is that people are not realizing the need, they are not able to change the mindset, uh, and that is why they're raising these excuses. Why do people, let me ask you, why do people say that they're busy or they're not interested? Because they didn't see any value in what you're talking. They didn't see any problem getting resolved for them, and that is the reason they just take a soft way, come out with an excuse, because they want to get out of that call. They don't want to continue that call because there is no value. Take a look at something like we already have a solution in place. Why do people say we already have a solution in place? Because you have not given any such strong reason to them that they can think of changing it. They are stuck with that mindset that we already have something which is already there in the place is good enough. Give them a stronger reason, give them a stronger motivation, and they would take that leap and they would buy your product. But are you giving good enough, strong enough reasons for them to take that leap, take that jump, and come to you to buy a new product? Is the question. So if your reasoning is not watertight, it's not good enough, people will only sell you the excuse. And that's what happening around with all the salespeople and all the entrepreneurs who has been trying their hands at it. So I am not going to go in details of the tools, because they are just the tool. Anybody can learn it, anybody can master it. I would stick to the most difficult part of it, which is the messaging. I call it messaging. You can call it a sales page or positioning or anything you like, but I'm going to stick to that because that is the soul of it. And if you get that right, then not only you can become the expert of cold calling, you can become the expert of any tool that you're going to touch upon, because after all, they are just the tool. That's where the real game is, messaging. And that's what I would be working on throughout this session. So how to make your messaging so good enough that people actually get motivated, people actually take action on it, people actually come back to you begging that I want to take that product because I see there is a reason that it can solve my problem. Let's see. First, we'll start with preparations. Now, this is where majority of the people uh, go wrong in cold calling. What I have seen is, and it's not their mistake, how businesses approach this cold calling is, uh, they learn the product, they learn all the glorious features of the product, all the recognition the brand has got, all the awards and everything, and then they start calling customer and start telling about who they are, what they are doing, and what beautifully how beautifully they are doing it, what awards they have won, and people are not interested. And that is why within the first 30 seconds or 1 minute, they sell you an excuse, not interested, and busy, or send me an email, call me back later, no budget, and stuff like that. So let's first prepare our sales pitch, and then that should solve 80% of the problem for us. So there it is. This is the sales pitch framework that I have been using, ladies and gentlemen. And this has helped me in two places in my career. When I was a sales executive and I was selling, uh, rather three places. When I was a sales executive, I was selling products for HP. These were the hardware products. I was selling it in the international market. This is where the framework helped me to grow from sales executive to the sales leader, handling three different product lines over there: printers, projectors, inkjet printers, laserjet printers. I was handling all of that. There's business development. When I came out of there and joined a IT company, which was a startup, then I was handling the software products. And this is where it helped me to reach out to all the international clients and get sales out of over the phone. And the third part, when I started my own company in 2016, it was in India, and I was looking to sell my services, the training and consulting services, which is again the toughest part of it, selling services, because you don't have any product to showcase. And this is where this framework and cold calling and selling on the phone helped me to crack maximum deals. And some of the deals that I cracked is with the bigger corporate. So I was just like a 5% company that time, and we have cracked corporate deals with the help of this framework. And I would like to introduce this framework to you today that should solve maximum problems related to, be it cold calling, email, or advertising, or anything that you want to lay your hands on related to selling or marketing. So let's take a look at it. Now, the first thing you have to understand why this framework is very effective and it's gonna work for you. First thing first is, this framework has been designed keeping in mind some of the bigger problem related to selling on phone. One is limited time. So you will hardly have 2 minutes or even less to engage a stranger into a conversation. Biggest problem. So how do you work out, how do you prepare your sales pitch, your messaging within that 2 minute that you can get any person interested into it? Second bigger problem is, you are talking to a stranger who doesn't know you, who haven't heard about you or your company, unless you're calling from Google or Microsoft. So now you have to win his trust, you have to establish your authority, and at the same time you have to get him interested into that conversation. Another bigger problem. And third bigger problem is, without sounding salesy without sounding like a salesman and getting that resistance. Why typically resistance comes is because people get to know it's a sales call. And that's what you also have been doing to all the cold call that you get over the phone. You have been on the other side of the table too, right? You have been a customer too, and you get a lot of calls, cold calls from banks and from financial institutions and from other companies. What do? You play the same game with them. Why? Because as soon as you pick up the call, within the first 30 seconds you have a complete idea. Your brain recognizes that it's a sales call, and as soon as you got those signals that it's a sales call, you just want to get away from there by selling some excuse that busy, send me an email, not interested, already have a product, no budget. These are for that reason, because I have identified it's a sales call. You're trying to sell me something, there is no value in it for me, and I want to get away from it. Okay, so we are going to solve this all these major problems with selling on phone with this particular framework. Let's talk about the first part of it, hook. Now you need something within the using that within the first 30 seconds you can get people attention, because if you get their attention, you cross the first hurdle, the first hurdle of getting some more time from the customer. You don't want him to uh, sell you an excuse within the first 30 seconds. So the hook is the one that would help you to get that first 30 seconds and cross that hurdle of getting some more time from him. How do you do that? Well, get the best hook possible. And what is the best hook that can help in B2B? It's pretty simple. Solving someone's top level of pain and showcasing within 30 seconds what is the best problem you can solve for him, the biggest problem, and what is the biggest gain that you can bring to him. Very simple. We know this. We have been hearing it from the uh, beginning, pain and gain, pain and gain. So it's the same thing. Figure out what is the biggest problem that you can solve for the customer. Put it in just one line. And what is the biggest gain your product or your service or you can deliver to the customer. Just figure that out and you have your best hook ready. So I'll give you an example. This is the one of the hook. Uh, I help businesses solve revenue challenges or stagnant revenue challenges and gain 70% more sales conversion in just 12 weeks. Now, when people will hear this statement, the only signal that goes to their mind is, okay, he's going to solve my sales challenge, sales revenue challenge, and he is going to get me 70% conversions in 12 weeks. That is the only thing they will remember. And as soon as it goes to the brain, they get more interested because it is related to them. And nowhere you will see you're wasting time on introduction and company name and what we do and stuff like that. So this is the best hook that you get. You need to create. Remember, it has to have the highest level of pain in business. So let's say if for example, if you are in the delivery business, logistics business, for example, and you take the stuff from one place to another. Now that logistic business will have multiple aspects to it, multiple challenges. One challenge can be how soon you can take it. Second challenge is if it is a fragile, how safely you can take it or how economically you can take it. So there are multiple challenges that customers see. You need to pick the one which is the most challenging one for them and most important for them and turn it into a pain and a gain. The gain you can deliver related to that. Let's say if fragile stuff I'm going to send, that is important to me, then how you can deliver it 100% peace of mind, that is the gain that I'm expecting. So once you have the pain and the gain, you have the best hook and you gained the first 30 seconds. You conquered that first 30 seconds with the customer. Now let's talk about the second part of it, the interest part of it. Now the second challenge is how do you convert that initial attention that you have got from the customer into the interest? Now this is where most of the people fail, and this is where you get an excuse like we already have a solution or we don't have a budget. Why do people say that? Because they don't see any value. Why they don't see any value? Because unless people realize what kind of problem, what kind of mess I am into, I'm not ready to listen to the solution. This is a common customer or rather human psychology. First, you show me what is the problem I'm facing. Then only I am interested into discussing about the solution. But what most of the people, entrepreneurs or sales professionals, they slip into discussing solution directly. See, solution has no value unless the problem is mentioned, or unless the problem is uh, you have made customer realize that problem, that what kind of problem he is into. If he doesn't realize what kind of problem he is into, what he's going to say back to you is going to say back to you the same thing, that we already have a solution, I don't see any need to change. So you have to make him realize that the current solution that you have is not good enough, and how it is making you lose more money, or how it is making you lose more business reputation, or how it is making you lose more customers. I mean, when I see that I'm losing money or customer or brand reputation because of this, voila, you have me. I'm interested to listen to the solution, and I'm going to give you the next 2 minutes easily. So this is where you turn attention, a hook, into interest by making customer realize the magnitude of problem he is facing. And how do you do that? Only questions has the power to do that. Short, meaningful questions. That's very, very important. Meaningful questions. Don't waste your time over there. These are the questions that you see over your screen. These are some of the well thought out questions that has been written. It is not more than 2 or 3. More than 3, it becomes an interrogation. You're going to lose customer. That's another customer psychology, that if you are going to ask me more questions, I'm going to resist. Okay, so don't go beyond 2 or 3. Take a look at some of the questions related to the first hook that we have created. Are you facing stagnant revenue challenges? When customer says yes, you have your customer. Is your sales team able to deliver 30% or 35% sales conversion as per the market standard? Now, if customer will answer that question, it will make him realize that is he on par with market standards or not. If not, then he is losing revenue. And as soon as he realizes that, he becomes more interested in what you're going to say next. Okay. Now let us say if customer says yes, that I'm already getting it, then you should have another problem ready for him. That is called the second problem. Is your sales team able to generate new inquiries or referral using phone, email, or LinkedIn? That's the second problem I'm putting across to the customer. Now, if he says no, they are not doing it, which means he has accepted there is a problem, and anything I'm going to say after this, he is interested in listening to me. It's as simple as that. And only question has power to it, because questions are like self-realization. When I answer that question as a customer, I myself will realize that there is a problem. And once I realize that there is a problem, then I'm interested in anything you say, because I understand there is a problem and that needs to be solved. I understand. I also accept your authority, that you know better business than me, and you're solving this problem because you have a knowledge of it, you're an expert of it. Trust is built, and everything is built with these questions. The questions are very, very important. And at the same time, they keep customer engaged into the conversation. That's another important part of the questions. If you ask me a question, I have to respond to it, and without realizing, I am into conversation. So second part is interest. Now let's take a look at the third part. How do you convert that initial interest that you have created in the customer's mind into the desire? Now this is another challenge. So first two, hook and interest, has given you about a minute of customer's time. You got his attention, you got his interest. Now third thing is the desire. Now desire, if it doesn't come out properly, you will again lose him, because you have taken the expectations very high, and if you don't give a solution which is equivalent to the expectations, you're going to lose him. So this is where desire is the best results that you can deliver to the customer. If you could communicate it, that this is the promise that I come with, and this is I'm going to deliver, or my product or my service will deliver, you have him. And trust me, anything after that you will say, he's going to do that blindly, because you have him with the proper model. So what is important about results? First thing first is they clearly communicate the promise, the expectations customers can have. and the expectations can be clearly communicated only with the help of numbers. Numbers are very important in human psychology, and without number, I don't know what you're talking, because I won't understand. Something like, let's say you're selling me a protein powder, and you come and say it will help you gain weight. I'm not interested. But if you tell me that I can gain 10 kgs of weight within a month, I am interested, because now I can clearly see what is the benefit I'm going to drive out of it. So whatever result you're going to promise, it has to come out clearly in numbers, and you have him. So take a look at this example we have put together for you. We can help you drive 35% sales conversion. I'm sorry. I can't see that part because something else is open on my screen. Yeah, we can help you drive 35% sales conversion, as well as generate 10 times more sales referrals. Would you be interested? Would you like to know how? That's very, very important. Now, what is another important thing about desire is, or the result that you promise, you have to give a customer success story along with it. Some kind of social proof, because social proofs are even more powerful. When I get to know that someone has already gained 10 kgs of weight in a month with your powder, with your protein powder, then I'm even more interested. Yeah. So that is where you club it with customer success story, and your desire becomes even more powerful for the customer. And then he is even like 10 times more interested into your proposition. So it's amazing. It's amazing. It's very powerful. So once you have the desire, let me tell you, 90% of the battle is won. Now you need to just nicely and properly ask him the next action you want him to take. Now this is where 80% of the professionals go wrong. And what is wrong about it is, when they ask someone, they ask and they make it sound such big thing that people resist. Something like, can we have a phone call? Can we visit your office? No. He is new into the relationship. The relationship is hardly 2 minutes old. And in a relationship which is so new and so fragile right now, you cannot ask people to take big steps. Big steps are painful for them. They will give you resistance. What you want to do is, when you ask something, even an appointment or something, make it sound so simple, so small that anybody can do it. With words like something like, I'm fixing a 10 minutes appointment, right? Now 10 minutes appointment can go for 30 minutes. As long as you can show me such kind of value, I don't have any problem. So unless 10 minutes becomes like 2 hours, I don't have any problem, right? So 10 minutes, 15 minutes, use those kind of words. And when you are asking customer to take a next big step, it should come with even more value that he's going to gain out of it. Something like, I'm fixing a 15 minutes short call. So see how I'm making it sound small. It's a short call of 15 minutes with one of our senior sales consultant. So something like, you're going to be talking to one of the big guy in my office. So I'm making it sound like that, who will showcase you how we achieved it for X customer, 35 or 40% conversion, and how we can achieve it same for you. So I'm showcasing here another big value, so that customer will be even more interested. Oh yeah, I get to see how they're doing it for other customers, how they achieved it, how much they achieved it. Then it becomes even big value proposition for him, and he is even more interested into it. So this is very amazing framework, ladies and gentlemen. It has been working for me, and it takes is couple of statements. These are just not more than 10 lines that you're going to speak. It will not take more than 1.5, 2 minutes for you. But in that 2 minutes, you're gonna see, leave such an everlasting impact on that customer that he will never forget you. He will realize the value of engaging with you, the kind of problems that he's facing, and the kind of problems that you're going to solve for him, and the kind of result he can expect out of it. And he will believe in your authority, he will believe in your knowledge and everything, and he will come running after you. So this is how you prepare for it. Most of the salespeople don't prepare for the cold calling, and they end up sounding salesy. They end up, selling. They end up pushing customers. for something which is not valuable to him and end up getting a lot of excuses, something like not interested, or call me back later, send me an email. All this is part of this psychology. When customer doesn't see a value, he's going to give you an excuse, but when he sees the value through this framework, he is all interested. And that's how you'll be able to crack most of your cold calls over the phone into appointments. So that's preparation. That's one challenge out. Let's talk about the second challenge before we take a look at how to cross the gatekeepers and how to do the execution part. So when you call customer, how do you start that conversation? How do you ask those questions? How do you tell that information? What is important? What is not important? So all that we will discuss in the coming session. But let's first talk about how do you build a customer database. That's very, very important, because majority of the sales professionals that I see, they are like 60% of them, they are relying on Google or Yellow Pages or other such directories where they manually pull out those contacts and they start calling those people. The problem is they are not able to drive bigger results for them. They are not able to call more people, and at the same time a lot of time goes unproductive time goes into building the database. So I will look at all those options that are available to us to automate this task. So let's get started with it. So here it is. First, I'm going to talk about a couple of mistakes that people do with databases building. First thing first is everybody goes general. Nobody goes specific or narrow. I'll give you with an example that will throw more clarity on it. First thing first is let's say how companies approaches building databases for calling. Okay, they decide, let's call all the companies in Chennai, or let's call all the IT companies in Chennai, or all IT companies in Mumbai. That's how they go about it. Uh, this is the mindset that actually result in no results for you. It's because you are going broad, you're going general. Not everybody is your customer. Cold calling this is the beast that can be tamed if you go specific and look for those customers who have a desperate need of your kind of solution, like immediate need. You should look for those kind of people. So if for example I'm looking for calling the companies, the first thing I will look for is I will look for IT companies in Chennai, those who are hiring people right now, because since they are hiring salespeople, they will have an immediate need of my training. So I would like to reach out to them because I know they will have an immediate need. So go as narrow as possible, right? And then even companies are hiring salespeople. I don't reach out to every company because I can't crack every company. I can't crack big companies right now. Big corporate companies, it's a long procedure for me. So what I do is I keep that companies below 200 employees or below 250 employees. That's another parameter I have kept for me. Now when we go like that, we know these are the companies that has an immediate need. They'll be even more interested to listen to me, right? The barrier of resistance will be very, very low. So I want to go after those companies. So go narrow, go specific, just narrow it down to as much as possible. Probably bring it down to just 1,000 companies or 1,000 contacts. That should be your goal. The more specific you will go, the more bigger success you will see. Every call, every 60 50 60% of your calls will convert into appointment and possibly into sales. So go as narrow as possible. Look for people with urgent needs, specific industries, specific regions, and go for people with specific positions. This is where most of the people again go wrong. When they go at cold calling, they want to straight away call the CEOs. Now CEOs are someone who are hard to reach. First of all, reception will be even more careful for the calls with the CEO, and they are also even not the trigger, what I call it, for a particular product. So let's say you want to purchase CRM. CEO is just he is the one who signs the check. That's all. He is not the one who initiate that kind of requirement, right? It can be VP, it can be even the sales manager, or sometimes it can be the sales people who are facing that problem. right? They are the ones who trigger or initiate that kind of requirement. So you should have very much clarity on who is actually your decision maker. If you have that kind of clarity, then your possibility to crack that deal increases multiple folds, multifold. So this is very, very important. Avoid these mistakes when building databases. Now let's take a look at how can you build databases. Now these are a couple of the manual ways that people are going through, and we will look at automating it. Like people find contacts or companies from Google, Just Dial, Yellow Pages, Sulekha India Mart is there. These are some of the manual ways where they go search for companies, then they gather the contacts and start calling people. Okay, now there are multiple challenges with it that I would like to solve for you. Let me come a little closer to my laptop. So first thing first is, when you are finding these companies, not every time, and let's say you want to reach out to key decision makers, not every time you will find their contacts, right? So there is a beautiful tool which is Zuba Corp there towards the bottom. How to search international customers, I'll give you that option also. It's Yellow Pages and directories. I can give you the list of it. I have done another webinar on that, and I will share the link after this. You can take a look at it. But let me tell you, first of all, is Zuba Corp. Pretty effective tool, and these kind of tool exist in every country that you can take a look at. Now what does this do is, basically you can find contact of key people over there. Yeah, so all you need is the company name, and it will tell you who are the directors, how many directors they have, and stuff like that. So this is a beautiful tool. So all you need to do is, you can search for company, you can search for let's say if I search for this company, I have the name, I search for this company, and it will tell you me, there it is, these are the directors, and I can get their email address right here. So you can see over here, that's the email address. So that is how you find contact of key people, right? Phone, it's very hard, it's difficult, so you can't do it. Now for our Indian audience, which is 90% of it is Indian audience here, I would like to show you another tool where you can get all the companies, their phone numbers, and even email address through this tool. Yeah, this is called mca.gov.in. Basically all the companies gets registered in a Ministry of Corporate Affairs. In every country, they go with a different name, but eventually all companies are registered through a government body, and they have a website, and you can find all the companies registered over there. It's as simple as that. So here it is, view companies and master database. So this is one idea for you guys. You can just download it right from here. So here they list all the companies and all the contacts. There it is. Just give me one moment. Yeah. So here it is. This is the list of companies. You can see all the companies that have registered this month, next month, and these are all kind of industries and all kind of domains you can think of, and all kind of cities in India. You can just download it from here, and the Excel that you're going to download from here will have their contacts, their email, the director name, and employees, and all those details. So probably in your country, you can look for these kind of government bodies and how to pull out the database. You might have to do a little bit of research, but this can happen. So I'm just going to go back and talk about a couple of other automated ways. So there are beautiful tools there that actually can automate uh, gathering contacts from Google, from Yellow Pages, from Just Dial, or all other kind of directories. And one such tool that I like, and I really highlight this, is List Grabber. So there is this tool, List Grabber, amazing tool. What does it do is, basically, let us say you have gone to a Yellow Pages and you have searched for IT companies in a particular area, let's say Chennai, and it gives you the list of all the companies that are there in Chennai, which are IT companies. Now what you want to do is, one way of doing it is you copy and paste the contacts in Excel, and you keep doing it for like an hour before you can build a database. Or you can use this tool which can reduce the effort of like hours and days into like minutes and seconds. What does it do is, it automatically visit the search results, and gather all the email address and phone numbers and pull it into an Excel in a matter of minutes, and just give it back to you. Amazing tool. List Grabber, it's called. Its primary purpose is to automate the task of building contact database. It's not very costly also. Anybody can afford it. It's a lifetime license, cost about $250. So that should not be more than 20K in Indian currency, but it's a lifetime license, and then you can use it the way you like. Pretty amazing feedbacks also. So you can always try that tool. I recommend it. I came across when I was searching for automating these tasks initially, and when I found it, I basically recommend it. But it's too costly. I don't think so. A lifetime license of 20K is not costly. Even if you use it for, let's say, 5 years, divide that cost, monthly, it will not come more than $500 or $1,000 that you're spending. And imagine if you could build a database of 1,000 even every month, and if you get one sale out of it, calculate the ROI. Even if your product sells for like a 10,000 and you're spending only 500 a month, calculate the ROI. It's amazing. So I have done a separate video and a webinar on this. You can always ask me in WhatsApp, and my team will share it with you. I'm not going to go in details right now because I have a lot to cover. Now the other tool here is for LinkedIn Helper. Now this is specifically for LinkedIn. So if you want to automatically build network, send messages to your first degree connection or second degree connection or third degree connections, so that you can generate inquiries out of LinkedIn for those who work on LinkedIn. LinkedIn Helper is it's a beautiful tool. Automate everything, runs in the background. You can keep doing your task, your calling and everything. And in the background, it would be doing all the things that is highlighted over here. Auto mailing system is there, auto profile visits, auto connection request sending, and auto messages you can send to your first degree, second degree connections. I've done a separate video and a webinar on this, so you can take a look at it. I'll share it after this call. But this is just to mention that these are the automation you can use for list building. It can even export all your contacts from LinkedIn into CSV. So you can use it for calling or emailing if you want to do it. It can do all that. Right. The third way is you can acquire email list contact database from these companies. If you are serving global markets, those are the reputed company that gives you verified databases, which are very important, which actually deliver results. So global mail data is there, Zoom Info, prospect.io, uplead.com, Crunchbase, some of the very good reputed companies. You can buy those databases from there, and you can go narrow, and they're going to deliver it because they have that ability to do that. They calculate all the parameters. Domestic in India, Fundu Data, Easy Leads. Easy Leads is another good one I would like to mention. Info Data Place and Data Grow. Amazing tools. And it doesn't cost acquiring those email or phone numbers for your calling. Look at this. We inquired and we figured out how much they charge. Like for 16,000 records, they're hardly charging 4,500 in Indian currency. It's like not even $100. Yeah. And you acquire it forever. So that's another thing. So it's pretty easy. You can check that out. If you need those details from me, I'll share this Excel, this PPT with you guys. You can take a look at it. But now let's go about and talk the next big problem, the gatekeepers. The majority of the people that come to me, sales professionals, entrepreneurs, businesses, this is where they're getting stuck. Most of the time they are stopped at gatekeepers and receptions, and they ask you to drop an email, send an email, or probably call back later. And when they ask you to send an email, they give you the email address as inquiry or info and stuff like that. And then what happens is you keep sending emails over there, but never get any response. Another big challenge. Now, let me ask you, I mean, I would like to see things from the other side of the table, from the side of reception, from the side of customers, to understand why do they do that? Or whatever they do, why do they do it? So my question to you guys is why do you think reception stops you? First of all, I mean, how does she know? Like, she has a binary job to do, something like allow the important calls to go in and stop the unimportant calls. That's what, as when it comes to calling part or receiving attending calls, this is their job function, right? And it's pretty simple. Now you need to know they don't know everybody who is calling, right? They don't know that all the people that call, and that is why they could easily filter it out, that these are the important ones, these are not the important ones. How do they do it? How do they figure out that it's not an important call or it's a sales call? Well, let me tell you that the trigger, the signals, it's you who are providing it. So when you call and you talk to reception, there are a hell lot of signals that you drop that they easily pick up and can tell easily that it's a sales call, and then they block you right then and there. Something like when you start with the introduction. Hi, Amit, I'm calling from Disha Consultants. That's the first signal that it's a sales call, and they're going to stop you right then and there. The other is if you're being too polite with them, or using any cheesy lines, these are all signals to them, and they're going to block you. So the question comes that how do you cross it, right? Here it is, some of the formula, some of the techniques that I have been using, and it has worked for me beautifully. It has worked for all the people that I have taught. They are driving amazing results. Let's first talk about the law of familiarity. It's simple. uh, Gatekeepers are looking for important calls. If somehow you could communicate that it's an important call, they will let you through, isn't it? But how do you do that? How how it's going to work out? Well, give them an impression that you already know the customer, and you're calling him. He's expecting your call. Now you have to do that without saying it. If you could pull it through, it can happen. For me, it worked, and I'll show you how I did it. Now, for this technique to happen, first of all, you need to know the first name or the full name of the party you're calling or the customer you're calling. If you don't have it, then what I used to do is I used to place the first call, and the first call, my goal is just to get the name of the person. So what I used to say is, hey, I'm sending an email, I'm calling from this particular company, and it's regarding the award and recognitions. We are trying to send a mail to the VP of the company, but it's bouncing back. Could you help me with his name and email address? That's all. And that's how I used to get the name of the person, and sometimes email also. Now, it is very important for you to get that name. Once you have the name, then you call with your real name or with your real company name or whatever it is, and you know adopt a particular technique to talk that it sounds like you know him already. So what I used to do, I'll give you an example, then you'll have a better idea what I'm talking. So when I used to call, I never used to tell my name or anything like that. I just used to call and say, hi, is Chris in office? Has he come to office? Something like that. Then reception will say, yes. Okay, please can you let him know it's this side, it's John, and it's regarding something big word that they will not understand. And when people don't understand those big words, they don't want to get into it, they will simply let you through. Now in this entire procedure, I didn't say my name, I didn't say my company name, I didn't give that impression that I'm calling for as a salesperson or anything like that. I just, without telling, without saying anything, I gave an impression that I already know him because I used the first name, and I called as if not a professional calling from company, rather someone calling from home or someone from his friend circle calling, giving that kind of impression. That's how I used to crack gatekeepers. As simple as that. So I used to tap into the law of familiarity. I used to say, I'll repeat it for you. I used to say, hi, is Chris, has Chris arrived in office? She'll say yes or no. If she says no, I used to ask her, what is his email? I'll drop him an email. If she used to say yes, okay, please let him know it's John calling and it's regarding the CRM deployment. And then she will 60%, 70% of the time, she will let me through. 20-30% of the time, there were smart secretaries who used to stop me and ask me, do you have an appointment? Then I used to say, no, I don't have an appointment. Could you please just connect me to him? Please. I used to use please twice. That helped me 10% of the time. When you use please twice, before and after what you say, it works. Now, if let's say she doesn't allow me, then I used a couple of other techniques to go around gatekeepers. One being, I used to call the office, and when I used to get the IVR, I used to press number 4 or 5 something to land on maybe HR team or admin team. And when they used to pick up the phone, someone else will pick up and say, who is this? I used to say, hey, it's Amit. Is this John? I used to take that first name of the CEO. I used to say, is this John? Then he'll say, no, it's not John. Then I used to say, oh, reception was trying to connect me to John, but by mistake, it seems she has connected me to you. Can you please put me back to John? And they used to do the internal transfer without realizing, without knowing the background. They don't want to get into that. So that's how they used to do it. Now, third being, if that doesn't work, I used to call the sales team number. So every company has a sales team number on their website. I used to just call the salespeople and I just to ask them a favor. Hey, I'm salesman. I'm trying to reach John. Your reception doesn't allow me. You know how it feels. Could you please connect me to John? Now, 15-20% of the time they used to connect me. Other time, at least they could help me with email address or something else. Right? If I could get the email, I used to drop them an email and I used to also try to connect with them on LinkedIn. So these are some of the ways I used to go around gatekeepers, and most of the time I managed to talk to decision maker, like 80-90% of the time. Now, if you could 80% of the time, if you could reach and talk to decision maker, how much does it change the game for you? That is the question. It's going to be awesome, right? Just let me know if 80-90% of the time you could reach the decision makers and talk to them. What does this mean to you? Can you please put it in the chat? Let me know. Meanwhile, let me answer this question while you type your response. Can you suggest how to get leads for insurance? Like I mentioned, those automation tools are not for specific type of industry. They work for all type of industry. So you can, in fact, uh, generate it for insurance also, anything. So tool is just to grab those contact details, right? So if it is there in yellow pages, if it is there in directories, if the contacts are there in just dial, then you can generate any kind of contacts. Okay, 80% work done, yes. You feel 20% of work done. Yeah, this is huge. Like if you could talk to the decision maker 80% of the time. So these things will come out, and right, these things will help you. Now let's talk about the third big problem that we have with selling on phone is the execution part of it. So when you start actually dialing that number and when you reach the decision maker, how do you communicate all that within that 2 minutes without being sounding pushy, without being sounding salesy, and without being sounding desperate, and giving a proper impression of a consultant or someone authority calling, and value being communicated. How do you pull together all that in the first 2 minutes? It's very, very important. You know how I see it? I see it like a stage presentation, right? Writing dialogue is one thing, but delivering those dialogues within the stipulated time with the conviction, and so that people, it reaches to people, the message reaches to people, and it actually affects them, it motivates them, inspire them to take that action. That is what cold calling is, ladies and gentlemen. It's a stage presentation, so it needs a lot of rehearsal. We have prepared ourselves by preparing that sales pitch framework. Now it's time to execute. Some of the things I would like to highlight during the execution, the mistakes that happen. Well, it's simple. The formula that I follow, and I even gave it to you in the beginning, the sales pitch framework. It's called HIDA. HIDA. H for hook, I for interest, D for desire, A for action. The whole idea is to grab someone's attention with the hook, then convert it into interest, then take the interest to the desire level, and then finally ask what you want to ask and make him do that. That's the execution you have to do. Now when you're doing hook, the first thing first is when you call him, the hook has to be delivered. Now this is being delivered along with the authoritative introduction. That's very, very important, because you cannot straight away deliver the hook. It will sound very cheesy. So first you have to introduce yourself. Now the introduction has to happen in such a way that it doesn't sound salesy. It sounds authority, that someone on the other side, important person, is calling and people pay attention to him. It has to build the trust also, because you're calling a complete stranger. He doesn't know you. And the way you talk and what you talk, with that he's going to make an impression about you, whether you're a salesman, whether you're mid manager, whether you're CEO calling, important person calling. So that trust has to be built. For that, what you need to do is avoid the complete company names and any kind of pleasantries that you talk. Something like, hi, how are you doing? I'm Amit calling, how are you doing? Those kind of things not required. Trust me, nobody falls for it. Okay. Nobody likes how you are doing coming from a stranger and would like to answer this personal question. Avoid company name, because when you take company names, they can't hear properly, and they will ask you back, uh, what is that you're calling from, or what did you say, and the entire conversation derails for you. So what you want to do is use a proper authoritative introduction with a hook, with a firm tone. Now don't use a polite tone. Polite tone is a mark of a salesman, right? Someone who is calling to sell, someone who is pushy, someone who is desperate. Use a firm straight tone, the one I'm using with you. I'm not, don't be too polite, but don't go on the other side also, where you sound rude. There is a very thin line between being firm and being rude. So don't go over the other side also. Firm tone, something like, hi, it's Amit calling. I'm an authoritative selling expert. So that is a firm tone. No fumbling, no missing details. You fumble and he knows it's a sales call. Just like on stage, you fumble, you sound conscious, you sound nervous, and you lose him there, right then and there. So make sure the introduction and the hook and the entire framework is well rehearsed, well practiced, that you can even talk in the sleep also. That's very, very important. And this entire introduction and hook should fall not beyond 30 seconds. So let's see, here is an example of a perfect authoritative introduction and a hook. Hi, I'm Amit. I'm an authoritative selling expert. I help businesses solve stagnant revenue challenges and gain 70% more sales conversions in just 12 weeks. Now, once this is delivered, now immediately you have to pull him into the conversation and create that interest for him. And how do you do it? By asking questions. That's the second part of it. To create interest, first you have to qualify and create interest, then only an engaging conversation happens. And you can engage him only with questions, as I mentioned before. So qualifying questions should come. Okay. Qualifying question is also very important. You want to make sure that you're talking to the right guy. They have a need for it. Otherwise, you will be wasting time also, right? So you want to know whether they really have that problem or not, or should you move on and contact someone else. So that is why the qualifying question is important. Immediately after qualifying question follows the problem revealing questions. And this question has to be meaningful and, most important, close ended, which means the people should answer it only in yes and no. Now, if you're going to ask open ended question like what kind of challenges are you facing, people don't like in the very beginning of the call, a stranger is calling and asking me these kind of questions where he's trying to know my business or know my financials. No, people will resist. So it has to be close ended questions. So I'll give you an example here. Something like the first question is the qualifying question. Let's say I am a sales trainer, I'm a sales consultant, and we sell corporate selling training services, sales training services. So what kind of questions we ask? Do you have a sales team? If you have a sales team, then yes, I'm talking to the right company. Then comes the problem revealing questions. Are you facing any stagnant revenue challenges? Yes or no? Again, a qualifying questions. Okay. Let's say I'm calling a hospitality industry. Hospitality industry is getting 35% sales conversion. Are you getting the same? Now, this is the problem revealing question. As soon as he says yes to it, he will realize that, as soon as they say no to it, they will realize that they are not doing good, and probably you can help them, and that build interest. If he says yes to the first question, then the second question is your sales team able to generate new inquiries and referrals over phone, email, and LinkedIn? So somewhere he has to say no, only then you can proceed. So that is why these important questions are there. And if they say yes, then he is not your customer. Probably you should move on because they're not facing any kind of problem. So it helps you, it helps them also. Now the third is, after the interest has been created, now you have to turn that interest into desire. Now this desire can be created only if a clear value proposition is communicated to the customer along with a customer success story that makes it an unshakable desire that people would like to go for. Value propositions are always results in numbers. I already said it. And then customer success story is a social proof. It has to be short, like 2-3 lines, not more than that. Don't go beyond 1 minute. Here it is. I'll give you an example. Okay. As soon as you have asked, are you getting 35% sales conversion rate like other hospitality industries are getting? They say no. Okay. Oh, I see, our sales conversion is less than the industry average. So here you are reinforcing the message that we are not doing good. And look at, pay very close attention to the language that I'm using. I'm not using you, I'm using we. We is a trust building language. We is like as if I'm playing from the customer side. Okay. So that's very important. I see our sales conversion is less than industry average. This was the same case with customer X when he approached me. Try to use me more than us. Okay, us is like you're talking from the company side. People trust individuals, people don't trust companies. So you have to remember that. Use me, I a lot, and us, our, with the customer, not with your company. So you say this was the same case with our customer when they approached me. They were getting barely 15% conversion. I helped them achieve over 40% conversion in just 10 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever you want to communicate in numbers. Then you go for ask. So now what is the rule of ask? It has to give you more value, right? You cannot, people don't go and take action for small values. So it has to be bigger value that you should be offering. Plus at the same time you should make it sound like you're taking permissions. You're not telling people don't like to be told, right? Especially the CEOs. Like CEOs, they're already authority, they're already in big position. They don't like to be told, they like to be asked. That's how you play emotionally at an emotional level. Okay, so more value, create curiosity plus permission, it makes a definite action for you. Okay, so mention higher expected value, what he can expect in the next step. Project a action as a short step, and use words as interested, something like would you be interested, would you like, to sound like a permission. Here is an example. Would you be interested to know how we can help you achieve the same 40% or more sales conversion as we did with customer X? You'll say, yeah, I'm fixing a 15-minute short call with one of our highly experienced sales consultant who will showcase how we achieved 40% sales conversion with our customer X and how we can do the same for you. And then you don't ask appointment time. You give two options so he can choose from one. Sometimes what happens is when you ask, is 3 p.m. okay, or what time would you like? People show resistance. You don't want to work out so beautifully all the way and then lose it in the end. You don't want to do that. So what do is you give him two choices. Is 11 a.m. tomorrow okay, or do you prefer 3 p.m.? Now the beauty with choices is he has to pick one, and if he rejects both, then he has to offer you the third option. That's how human psychology works. So make use of that, and this is how you play the entire framework in less than 2 minutes and hook any stranger, be it over the phone, be it in person, and he will be yours. Right. Now let's talk about now the way this framework has been designed. Basically, it is designed to make sure that you don't get any objections from the customer. But let's say still either somewhere things go wrong, or you encountered the most difficult prospects who are going to raise those objections to you, then I have framed answers for it also that will help you. Let's take a look at those objections. Now some of the typical objections that you get is not interested, already having a solution, no budget, or probably send me an email, those kind of things. How do you handle those? Okay, so I mentioned those top objections here. Now the simple framework that I use for this is called ADA: anchor, disrupt, and ask. It's pretty simple. Anchor, disrupt, and ask. Why this framework is needed? First, we need to understand the human psychology or the customer psychology. When they're really raising an objections, they are not resisting, they are looking a way out of the call, right? When they say things like send me an email, do they really mean that they will read that email? No, they're looking for a soft way out. They don't want to be rude on your face, saying no to you. At the same time, just look a soft way out. So that is why they say things like that, like send me an email, or not interested, or we already have a solution. Now the whole story starts from here. When they say we already have a solution in place, what would they expect you to say? Yeah, they would expect you to say that okay, no problem, or I will send my product details, if you're interested, please take a look at it, those kind of things. And as soon as you say those things, you makes it even more easy for them to walk out. Now that's what you don't have to say. Instead, you have to say those things that they are not expecting. When they will hear those things which they are not expecting, they go in a thinking mode. This gives you another 5 to 10 seconds, and that is what you use to ask them some even difficult questions and create that interest out of it. Let's see how you do it. All right. So first one, let's, for example, let's say he says busy or call me back later. Now first you have to anchor it. Yeah, sure. Now this is what he is not expecting. He is not expecting you will simply agree to it. You'll say yes, sure. Now that will be come as a surprise to him, and probably send him in a thinking mode. Now this is your time when you immediately disrupt it by asking a difficult question, something like what time would you prefer? Now when he is not expecting this question from you, he goes in a thinking mode what to say. This gives you some more time to turn it around and create that resistance into interest. Now remember, you're not waiting for customer to answer this. If you wait for customer to answer this, he's going to sell you another excuse. This has to go, just ask and tell simply. Don't wait for the response. So as soon as you say yeah sure, what time would you prefer, he'll start thinking. Now take that time and immediately make a ask. How do you say it? Oh, you must be wondering, this is going to take a lot of time. Actually, it will not. It will take only 15 minutes for me to discover your biggest challenge with sales revenue or sales conversion and suggest a solution to take it beyond 40% or more, as I did with customer X. So shall I book an appointment for you for 11 or 3? Now remember, when you are going for ask, it has to talk about the topmost pain. It has to talk about the topmost gain in numbers. It should talk about, it should have a social proof like how you did with customer X, and then you have to give him two options. That is how you stand a chance to turn it around. Otherwise, there is no way out. He's going to sell some excuse and get out of that phone. Let's take a look at the second one. Send me an email. 90% of the time, this is the best way out for them. You don't want to do that. First, anchor it. Okay, saying, okay, yeah, sure, or I agree. And then disrupt it by asking a difficult question. What information exactly would you like? Now, this is what he's not expecting. Now he has to answer it. As soon as you go into the thinking mode, shoot your ask and say, I can send general product catalog, but that won't be of any use to you. You know, that will be of any use to you. I can, I won't know what problem you're dealing with unless I know this. I won't be able to give you a solution. So just give me 10 minutes to discover what is the biggest problem that your business is facing in relation to sales revenue or sales conversion, and how I can turn it around into 40% or 50% within 12 weeks, and then make a ask. That's very, very important. Let's go about not interested or already having a solution. Again, anchor it. Okay, I agree. And then disrupt it. When customer says not interested, I'm not surprised to hear that, because 95% of my customers, existing customers, were not interested in the beginning. That's what you say. Now, this number is very important. Just to tell him that, okay, uh, there are 95% like you. So it's nothing new to me. And then you say, but when they learned how customer X were having only 15% conversion, and how did they manage to achieve over 40% conversion in just 6 weeks, they got interested. So again, pain, gain, social proof, very, very important. And then you go for ask. And in this mindset, one thing is very important that I mentioned over there in that answer is, see, people think there will be some sort of commitment. So you can say, actually, there is no commitment. We won't be charging anything, no payment required. It's just a 10 minutes call to discover your biggest challenge and how we can take that conversion to 60% in 4 weeks. We would like to show it to you. If you don't like, you can always walk out to free. Say things like that. It's very reassuring for the people. And then they take even more interest. Okay. And then propose, what time would you prefer? All right, so this is how you can create any kind of objection you face. Just put it into this framework, ladies and gentlemen. Anchor, disrupt, and ask, and you will get around any kind of objection that you face in selling over the phone. Now let's talk about productivity. So now from me, you got how to build the database. The first challenge is out. You managed to prepare a sales pitch framework that actually works and deliver results. You got to know the execution part of it, the kind of challenges that you face in there and how do you handle it. You have learned objections. Now let's talk about the productivity. In productivity, what challenge I would like to address is, majority of the people get stuck in either most of the admin or unproductive tasks, something like building databases, or something like chasing those leads which are not interested. All those kind of challenges are there. You don't want to spend your time over there. You want to go for a kill that has a best chance. So how do you do that? Here are some of the tips for you. First of all, the first thing I will recommend is balanced prospecting. Don't just rely on one channel. Balanced prospecting is, use 2 or 3 channels to generate enquiries. Now, how do you do that? First of all, for this to happen, you have to keep your contact list below 1,000 contacts. Why 1,000 contacts? See, if you can go for 10,000, 15,000 contacts also, but you won't be able to drive results, because by the time you take a full turn, you start from one and you take a full turn and come back to number one again after completing those 25,000, it will be 6 months gone. And do you think after 6 months you will have a chance again to reach that guy, or he would be interested? No. What you want to do is, the goal of selling on phone is, talk to the decision maker. Very, very important. That is the first goal, and that is possible only if you have 1,000 contacts. If you're making 50 calls a day also, then you should be able to cover it in like 10 or 20 days, within a month. That's the whole idea of it. So you should be able to quickly reach and dial them 2, 3, 4 times, so that you have a best probability to reach them. Okay, so go for 1,000 contacts, and as I mentioned, go narrow. In the beginning, I mentioned that. Remember the number, this number, the 3 and 6 table, to follow up. So how do I used to follow up? I used to dial on one day, one contact, then second contact on third day, third contact on sixth day, fourth contact on ninth, then 12th, 18th, 24, and 30. So in a month, I would be making around 8 contacts. Now this gives a best probability to reach that guy, to talk to that decision maker. That increases high probability, right? Instead of if I'm dialing him only once or twice a month, the probability is very low. And unless you talk to him, you don't have an inquiry, you don't have an sale. So sale and inquiry lies if you talk to decision maker, and this is how you can increase your chances. So remember that number. Okay. Now the beauty is, if you go over the phone and you only try the phone, the chances are less. But if those third, sixth, and ninth contact, if you try it over the email and LinkedIn and then come back to phone, the chances are you can reach him. So that is where the balanced prospecting comes into picture. First you try on phone, then probably leave a voicemail, then try email, then try LinkedIn, and then try phone again. Yeah. Now this pass on the message that the guy is trying hard or the girl is trying hard. I should talk to him. That is how the guilt feeling also comes into the customer. If the guy or the girl is trying so hard, I should probably talk to him or her. Yeah. And then all you have to do is to maintain that pipeline, remove the bad ones. After completing this cycle of 1, 3, 6, 9, 12, 18, 24, and 30, once he is not reachable, now it's a hopeless case. Probably ditch him and take him out of the list and add some more new ones. And always maintain that 1000 contacts and keep generating inquiries out of it. All right. So that's very, very important. It will boost your productivity. And what do I mean by productivity is you'll be able to reach more people, you'll be able to talk to more people, and you'll be able to actually drive results out of it. Now reaching, talking is fine if you can reach and talk to more people, but unless the result comes, it's useless. The last part of it, we are on time, very good. Last part of it is the metrics. Now it is very, very important to measure some of the metrics so you can analyze the performance and see whether you're able to, you know, deliver good results or not. That's very, very important. Most of the people I see, they go with those standard metrics which doesn't communicate anything. What are the metrics that I would like you to track is this. First of all, same standard thing, calls to appointment conversion. How many calls you made today and how many appointments you got. So you can basically, if you have to double your appointments, you need to know how, right? So that's very, very important. Now the second is, which nobody follows, most of the people I don't see doing it, is response rate. So when you're contacting them over the phone, how many inquiries you are able to generate within a month from phone, and how many inquiries you are able to generate over email and over LinkedIn. So compare. Probably phone is doing better, then probably you focus more on phone. But if LinkedIn or email is doing better, then probably you increase your time. So let's say you're working for 9 hours, 7 hours you're giving it for phone, 1 hour for email, 1 hour for LinkedIn. Then if LinkedIn is producing better results, then probably you can give it another 2 or 3 hours and increase your reach over there, right? So you should check what is the response rate. And how to do it? It's simple. How many inquiries do you, every month or every day you are able to generate from phone, LinkedIn, and email? That's, you just calculate that. And then the third important metric that people don't track is high response time. So what are those time slots where you have a more probability to reach customers and find them in office, talk to them? This is also a very important metric, right? So I have seen people don't track it, and what they happen is 11 o'clock or 10, between 10 to 11:30, which is the best time to reach people, they are on break. So the golden hours where you have a high probability to reach people, uh, they're gone into break. Or sometimes around 8 o'clock, which is another best time to reach CEOs, especially because they come early in the office. Uh, Callers come 9 o'clock, 9:30 in the office. See, the point here is, if you really have to find success in selling over the phone, or either case, you have you have to live a lifestyle of your customer. You have to follow the schedule of your customer, not your own schedule. So if your customer is in office at 8 o'clock, then you should be start calling at 8 o'clock, right? If your customer is leaving office at like 6 o'clock or 6:30 or 7 o'clock, then you should be there calling him that time. So you should be following the schedule of your customer, not your own schedule. So that's what I'm trying to say. So you should be figuring out, take a 2 hour slot and try to figure out that which slot gives you the maximum reach, and probably unclutter it, and go laser focus on that and do maximum calling in those 2 or 3 slots that produces the best results. And rest of the slots, probably you can enjoy and do calling and do email and do LinkedIn, right? Calling, let me tell you, it can only go on for 4 to 5 hours, not more than that. And those 4 to 5 hours, like, it has to happen like hell, probably like laser focused, and like dialing probably 60-70 calls in 1 hour and reach maximum people, and then only you drive results. Off hours, no matter how many people you call, when someone is out for lunch like 12 o'clock, from 12 o'clock the CEOs, they start preparing for lunch. That mindset itself is prepared for lunch, and around that time you're trying to call, absolutely no results will come out. Right, with that idea in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that's it from my side. Today's session, we are right on time. I mean, I never expected I'll stick to the schedule this much, but it's good to know that. Now, if you have any questions, I open this session for Q&A. You can probably ask me a question, just put it there over there in the chat, and I'll be happy to answer that. Just one more information for you guys. Towards the end of this month, my workshop is coming where I'll be covering all these things in details and helping you come up with your sales pitch framework, or your LinkedIn framework, or email lead magnet and sales training. I'll be covering all that over a period of 4 days, starting from 25 June. So if you're interested in any of these programs or all of these programs, then you can buy tickets from my website. Starting from 25 June, I'll be covering cold calling, selling over the phone, 26th LinkedIn marketing, 27th email marketing, and on 28th, the sales presentation, negotiations, closing techniques, and all that stuff will come over there. So first 3 days, demand generation, lead generation, how to do it on these platforms, and fourth day, it's the sales skills. And the complete program, you can buy it if you like. So it's over there. Now I open it for the questions. Please go ahead and start asking your questions, any questions or any doubts you have. If you have any feedback also related to this workshop, you can share that also. Amit, how to get the phone number of CTOs? Okay, well, for that, we need to know what kind of database you're targeting, and what are the tools that are available. I mean, there is no standard tool for this, how to find number of CTO. Probably I have to suggest some based on your industry, based on your segment, but right now there is no standard tool available. Okay, so what you might need to do is you need to first go to reception and try to get that number. That should be your first goal, and then call the decision maker. Okay, so connect with me offline, Amit. Ping me on WhatsApp, and I will tell you how you can find the numbers. I want today's session recording. It will be given to you. No problem. Is there anything like Zuba Corp for Singapore? Okay, Situraman. Well, Singapore, I have no idea, because this is the first time that kind of question has come. But what I can do for you is, like Zuba Corp, I can find it out for you. Okay, so we'll take it as an input, and probably by Sunday, my team will let you know. Okay, I have a sales pitch immediately after this call. I shall use all the techniques explained. Thank you, Dr. Mansi. Could you please repeat last part in short? Best time to follow up customers effectively. Okay. See, you have to know the schedule of people when they are mostly available. So if you're targeting CEOs, they are mostly available, let me tell you, from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. That is when they come to office, and they try to set up those meetings and go over the schedule. This is the best time to reach them and talk to them. After 10 o'clock, they gets occupied into one meeting or the other because they are very busy people. Same is the case with VP or higher senior level management. So you don't want to reach out to them and get answer that they are in meeting, right? So that's very, very important. So you need to figure out when they are available, when you can reach them. Most of the time they are available like 8 to 10, then probably around you know uh, 12 o'clock. That's around time. After they come back from lunch, they would not like to have immediate meetings, so probably 2:30 to 3:30, around that time. And then probably when everybody goes off, like after 5 o'clock, right? Because most of the people they go off, so they will not hold any meeting after that 5 or 6 o'clock. Then after that they stay for some time. So like that, you have to figure out when they are available in office, and it works for different people. It works differently. For example, let's say yeah, doctors you're targeting. Now doctors, as soon as they come in, dude, there will be a hell lot of patients waiting for them already. So that is not the best time to reach them, right? When they come in 8 o'clock. If they're diabetes expert, then probably they start even early, like 7 o'clock. So you have to learn that schedule of people and call him in the best possible time when they are free, when they are ready to answer those calls. All right. Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen? Okay. So, is there format for intro business email? I have done a separate webinar on email marketing, and you can watch it on YouTube. And it's pretty much the same format what you will see in email also, slightly twisted based on it, but you will find it there in my webinar. You can check it out. Subject and body both, yeah. Subject line, how to create it. See, for a subject line, it is very important that couple of things should be there in the email subject line. Something like it should target a emotion, it should have an adjective, it should have a number, like that. All that has been discussed in the webinar. Same for the body also. Yeah, you can ask it in the WhatsApp group. It won't be easy for me to share here because so many things are open on my desktop. But you can ask it in the WhatsApp group and we will share it there. All right. Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen? I hope this session was useful and answered your questions. Kindly send the presentation slides. Sure, we'll do that gladly. All right. So I really, really hope and you know you got your answers and it was useful for you, insightful. And I really pray that you stay safe and keep doing great. Any questions, keep directing back to me. And you wonderful people, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay productive. Have a good day and a nice, wonderful evening. Thank you very much.